I want to welcome you to the deep dive today. We're really excited to have you with us.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We have a really massive topic to get into today.
We really do. So what we're doing today is unlocking, I guess you'd call it, the psychological patterns, the daily operating systems of history's greatest entrepreneurs, creatives, and thinkers.
Right, because usually when you look at success, people want this clean, precise formula, like an X-ray where a doctor points and says, there's the problem or there's the solution.
Exactly, like a simple binary thing. But when you step into the realm of elite human performance, that clean X-ray just totally shatters.
It gets incredibly murky. And the source material we're pulling from today proves that.
Yeah.
We are looking at a really dense transcript from a researcher who read, over 400 biographies of history's greatest founders.
400. Plus, interviewing modern titans. It's a staggering amount of data.
It is. And our mission today for you, the listener, isn't just to dump a bunch of information on you or tell you how to build a billion-dollar company.
No, definitely not. It's about giving you a shortcut, a way to understand the mental frameworks of these elite performers so you can apply their context windows to your own life and relationship.
Exactly, without getting completely overwhelmed by information overload.
Right. So, okay, let's unpack this because there are some really surprising facts here. I want to start with what is probably the single biggest myth our culture sells us today.
Oh, I know exactly where you're going with this, the whole do what you love thing.
Yes. The myth that if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
It's such a pervasive narrative, right? Society tells us that these elite performers are just waking up every day, practically vibrating with joy to do the daily grind.
But the reality of the people actually at the top completely destroys that fairy tale. Let's talk about Rick Rubin.
Yeah, arguably one of the most successful music producers in history.
Right. The guy founded a legendary label in his dorm room. He's 63 now, and he's still completely dominating the industry.
You'd assume he just loves every second he spends in the recording studio.
But he doesn't. He actually describes himself as a lazy workaholic.
Which is such a wild contradiction.
It really is. He explicitly says he actively dislikes the daily process. He hates waking up to go to the studio. He'd literally rather be butt naked in the sun on a beach somewhere.
And he's felt that way for 4 decades. 40 years of enduring 16-hour days in these dark, windowless studios.
Right. So what actually drives a guy like that? If he hates the grind, why do it?
Well, it's not about enjoying the friction, It's about being addicted to the breakthrough.
The magical act of creation.
Exactly. He loves that high-level problem solving. Like when a track is just fundamentally broken and after thousands of takes, you finally figure it out.
That one little tweak that makes it perfect. But how does he solve those problems if he's not running on pure passion?
That's where the context window comes in. He relies on this massive encyclopedic knowledge of history.
Right. I read that he'd use a 30-year-old Beatles idea for a Red Hot Chili Peppers album.
Yeah, or he'll literally just walk over to the library in his studio, pull a completely random book off the shelf, and read a paragraph to spark an idea.
That's amazing. It's like assuming a Michelin star chef just loves chopping onions.
That's a really good analogy, actually.
Right. Like, they don't love the crying, they don't love the stinging eyes, they love the finished dish, they're obsessed with the final result.
Exactly. The motivation isn't the chopping, it's the breakthrough.
But here's my question. If the daily process is such a burden, how do people not just quit? What fuels them to endure it early on?
Well, the source material points out that for a lot of these people, the fuel doesn't come from joy at all. It comes from a much darker place.
Rejection.
Yes. Massive, painful rejection. There's a venture capitalist maxim that comes up here. Chips on shoulders, put chips in pockets.
Oh, man, that is so true. And there's this incredible story about Adam, the founder of AppLovin, that perfectly illustrates this.
The company with the $170 billion market cap, right?
Yeah, massive company today. But back in the day, he tried to sell 25% of his early company for just $1 million.
So he was valuing the whole thing at only $4 million,
Hmm.
which is tiny for tech.
Super tiny. And every single top VC rejected him. But they didn't just reject him, they actually turned around and funded his competitors.
Oh, that stings. That is brutal.
Right. So his entire company goal shifted. It became this mission to just completely drive those competitors out of business.
He weaponized that feeling of not belonging.
He really did, and it completely changed his hiring philosophy. He didn't want comfortable Harvard grads. He wanted what he called the island of misfit toys.
The hungry people with something to prove.
Exactly. Dysfunctional, scrappy people like Raph, this high school dropout who started there at 17.
Didn't he live in the office?
Yeah, he literally built bunk beds in the office, and now the guy is worth billions.
It's wild. But we see the same pattern in the arts, too. The research talks about Kanye West's hero's journey.
Right, and we should note here, just to be totally impartial, the source praises his early self-belief, but it also clearly acknowledges that his later anti-Semitic rants are the reason this documentary analysis was shelved. We're just reporting what's in the text here.
Absolutely. It's a complicated profile. But looking just at his origin story, he was living in this terrible apartment in Newark before he had a single hit out.
And he'd be practicing his Grammy acceptance speech.
Just completely delusional self-belief in the face of everyone telling him no. And Shia LaBeouf did something similar as a defense mechanism.
Right, cutting out anyone who provided counter-evidence to his success.
Exactly. He made his own opinion of his life the absolute only one that mattered. What's fascinating here is how these individuals use the messy middle.
The messy middle.
Yeah, that lonely chapter where you've outgrown your old friends, but you haven't really found your new peer group yet. They use that isolation as a crucible.
Okay, but let me push back on that for a second. Isn't carrying a chip on your shoulder constantly just exhausting?
It's incredibly draining.
Right, like at what point does proving them wrong just become toxic bitterness? You can't run on anger forever.
You're totally right, and the research addresses this. To avoid that toxic bitterness, you have to actively take control of your internal narrative.
You have to hack your own identity.
Exactly. You can't just run on vengeance. Look at Toby Lütke, the founder of Shopify.
Oh, this story blew my mind. He's this German engineer, so you assume he's purely analytical, right?
Right. You think he's all spreadsheets and code, but he relies heavily on intuition and vibes.
And the way he overcame his fear of public speaking is just crazy.
He literally brainwashed himself.
Yeah. He wrote, "I love public speaking 100 times a day for weeks."
Which physically changed his brain's neurological response to the fear. He rewired his own biology.
It reminds me of that quote from NF they included, "The mind is a powerful place, and what you feed it can affect you in a powerful way."
It's so true, which brings up the concept of the information diet.
Right, because we are so careful about what we eat physically. The source notes that 95% of people lack basic dietary fibers, and that our cellular mitochondria degrade if we don't maintain them.
We know physical junk food ruins our bodies. But we let social media algorithms feed absolute junk to our brains all day.
It's toxic. The researchers compare it to Joseph Pulitzer, the guy who built a media empire out of poverty after the Civil War.
But he did it by inventing yellow journalism, right?
Exactly. Sensationalism, sex, violence. And that exact same yellow journalism is what modern algorithms feed us today to get engagement.
It's terrifying when you think about it, which is why that framework for evaluating relationships is so helpful, the sofa friends versus treadmill friends.
I love that concept. It's like, do your inputs, the content you consume, and the people you hang out with make you want to lie on a sofa and just stare at the ceiling?
Or do they make you want to get on a treadmill and conquer the world? Belief really does come before ability.
You are influenced by everything you consume.
Definitely. Taking in passive information is so dangerous, you have to ruthlessly curate your inputs.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Someone described modern wisdom as finding spirulina for your soul in a sea of fast food for your amygdala.
That is a brilliant way to phrase it.
Right. But if we are curating our inputs so carefully, how do we choose what to focus our actual output on?
Well, the answer is surprisingly simple. The greatest minds don't build complex webs. They build hyper-focused lasers.
The billion-dollar idea is breathtakingly simple.
Exactly. Take Todd Graves from Raising Cane's.
Oh, the chicken finger guy.
Yeah, he had this incredibly simple idea to do for chicken fingers what In-N-Out did for burgers.
And for 30 years, his menu hasn't changed. Chicken, slaw, toast, fries. That's literally it.
And he refuses to sell the company for $20 billion. Because he genuinely believes God put him on Earth to be good at making chicken fingers.
That is dedication. He still acts as the fry cook and the cashier sometimes, even as the CEO.
It perfectly illustrates Charlie Munger's business maxim.
Which is what exactly?
That the winning system often goes ridiculously far in either maximizing or minimizing just one or a few variables.
So it's about extreme focus, like John Mackey with Whole Foods.
Right, he was just a hitchhiking hippie who wanted a place to buy healthy food. He literally thought traditional supermarkets were poisoning people.
That singular focus changed the whole grocery industry. And it reminds me of that story about Joe Hudson's daughter.
Oh, her reframing of a billion-dollar idea.
Yeah, she said $1 billion idea isn't an idea you think is worth $1 billion. It's an idea you wouldn't sell for $1 billion.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it shows that simplicity requires profound discipline. Complexity is actually just a hiding place for mediocrity.
Wow, that is heavy.
Graves succeeded because he didn't innovate constantly. He just executed a single variable flawlessly for 3 decades.
So I want to ask you, the listener, to think about your own life or your job right now. Are you adding items to your menu just to feel busy? Like, what is your chicken finger?
It's a great question to ask yourself. But, when you commit to something that simple and you put it out there, you are going to face intense scrutiny.
Oh, inevitably. Which brings up the question of how elite minds handle all that pushback and criticism.
Handling the arena. Dana White, the CEO of the UFC, has a great perspective on this.
He says the loudest boos come from the cheapest seats. Right.
Exactly. He just accepts that no matter how great an event is, people are going to complain on the internet.
But his personal philosophy is what's really interesting. He believes making mistakes is the privilege of the active.
Yeah. And when he's backed into a corner, even with highly publicized personal mistakes, he owns it immediately. No hedging, no PR spin.
He just takes it on the chin. But there's a difference between internet haters and people in your inner circle.
Oh, a massive difference. Look at Steve Jobs at Pixar.
Ed Catmull talked about this, right? Jobs fired 2 board members.
Yeah, and do you know why? Because they never disagreed with him, meaning they added absolutely no value to the company.
That is wild. He wanted people to push back. It's like that Michael Jordan quote, "Successful people listen. Those that don't listen don't last long."
There is a really important distinction here. There's the cheap seats, which is baseless internet hate, and then there's the boardroom, which is trusted advisors disagreeing with you.
And a lot of people confuse ignoring haters with ignoring valid feedback.
Exactly. Having loose opinions strongly held is a total trap. What you actually want is strong opinions loosely held.
Which Charlie Munger was famous for. When he debated, he'd start by stating the absolute best counterargument to his own point first.
Just to prove he had actually thought it through. It's brilliant.
Okay, but what does this all mean? We're supposed to have a massive chip on our shoulder, but also be incredibly open to criticism.
It sounds like a walking contradiction, doesn't
It totally does. How do you manage that without burning out?
Well, elite thinkers develop really specific psychological frameworks to view their lives objectively.
Which brings us to wisdom as prevention.
Right. And to understand this, you have to look at Charlie Munger's tragedy.
It's such a sad story. He watched his 9-year-old son die of leukemia while he was going through a terrible divorce.
Unimaginable grief. And yet he lived his life with this mindset that wisdom is prevention.
His rule was, smart people solve problems, wise people avoid them.
Exactly. You avoid problems by surrounding yourself with a few great friends, finding great work, and completely avoiding what he called rat poison.
Rat poison being low-quality evil people. Just cut them out completely.
Right, because you only have so much energy, which the researchers call your frustration budget.
Oh, the dating example for this was perfect.
Yeah, like if you love going to sleep at 9 p.m., you should date someone who also likes sleeping at 9 p.m.
Instead of dating a night owl and spending your frustration budget fighting over a 3 a.m. club night every single weekend.
Exactly. You partner with someone who compensates for your shortcomings naturally, rather than constantly trying to fix each other.
It's about conserving energy, and that ties into Tim Urban's concept of grand theft life.
Viewing your life objectively as if you're literally playing a video game character.
Yes. If your character needs money, you make them do jobs. If they need cardio, you send them to the gym. You remove the emotion from it.
Toby Lutke does this too, with his corporate raider mindset.
I love this one. He pretends he just took over his own company from previous crazy management.
And he asks himself, what would I change immediately? It completely removes the sunk cost fallacy.
And then there's the evil mustache framework.
That one is so vivid. Imagine an evil version of yourself with a little twirly mustache trying to defeat you.
What would they do to ruin your life? Like they'd make you be indecisive or keep toxic people around?
By stepping outside your ego like that, You remove the emotional friction of making hard decisions.
So if you, the listener, stepped out of your body right now and a corporate raider took over your daily routine, what is the very first habit they would fire?
It's a tough question to answer, honestly.
It really is. But, okay, let's say you do all this. What happens when the video game character actually wins? What happens when you achieve the ultimate success?
This is where the story gets surprisingly dark, honestly.
Yeah, the private cost of public praise. Jimmy Iovine talks about this.
Music legend, right? He worked with Lennon, Springsteen, Dre. He warns that most people just cannot handle long-term success.
The threat isn't the competition anymore, it's self-destruction.
He calls it the 4 buckets of destruction: drugs, alcohol, megalomania, and the wrong romantic partner.
Megalomania is so insidious, like you forget you're human because 80,000 people are screaming your name in a stadium, but you still have to go home and take the trash out.
The transition back to reality is jarring,
Hmm.
and it connects to this idea of the expansive personality.
Right, the exact traits that make someone a relentless, world-conquering entrepreneur, never being satisfied, always wanting more, are the exact opposite of what makes a stable romantic partner.
It's tragic, really. Arnold Schwarzenegger's girlfriend actually wrote a 300-page book detailing her confusion over why he couldn't just act normal.
Because he couldn't turn off that expansive personality at home. Andy Stumpf, the Navy SEAL, talked about this too.
Yeah, he built his whole identity on not quitting, which made him an incredible SEAL.
But it kept him in a toxic marriage a decade too long. He treated his personal life like a mission he couldn't quit.
Society rewards hypervigilance and ruthlessness in business. But when those traits bleed into the kitchen table, disaster strikes. You just cannot approach a relationship like a business deal.
And there's a quote here that hits so hard. What you are praised for in public, you will pay for in private.
It's a heavy realization.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because if the things that make you great also make you unlovable, is it even worth it? Like, do you have to choose between being a titan of industry and being a good human?
Well, the research suggests you don't have to choose, provided you redefine what winning actually means.
You have to play an infinite game based on your own taste.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Rick Rubin has this great thought experiment called the House on the Mountain test.
Oh, if you built a house on a remote mountain that no one else would ever see, would you still decorate it beautifully?
Yes, because that reveals your true internal preference. You create according to your own taste, not for the algorithm or the audience.
Eminem had a similar philosophy. He had that lyric, "A plaque and platinum status is whack if I'm not the baddest."
He chased the respect of his peers over financial metrics. He didn't care about the external scorecard.
And James Dyson. He failed 5,126 times over 14 years.
His kids grew up watching him fail in a carriage house.
And now he's worth billions, but he still just views his job as picking up an object, figuring out how to make it slightly better and putting it down. He's done it for 45 years.
That's how you avoid the shame of falling off after massive success. You just abandon the external scorecard and focus purely on the craft.
You can't sleep on a win. Conor McGregor said, if you go to sleep on a win, you'll wake up with a loss.
Right. And Steve Jobs' whole definition of success was just, did I make something I'm proud of?
But isn't there a tension there? You can't just be a brilliant artist alone in a room forever. David Ogilvy said you can't save souls in an empty church.
That's true.
You have a moral obligation to get your good work out to the masses.
It's a delicate balance.
It really is. So bringing it all together, the greatest minds are really just a bundle of contradictions.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They hate the work, but they can't stop doing it.
They have massive chips on their shoulders, but they listen to their harshest critics. They conquer the world, but they struggle to conquer their own living rooms.
It's fascinating.
We've given you a lot of tools today, right?
Yeah.
The house on the mountain test, the treadmill friends, the billion-dollar idea you wouldn't sell.
A lot of mental frameworks to play with.
So I want to leave you with one final provocative challenge, building on that evil mustache concept.
Oh, this is a good one.
Tonight, before you go to sleep, imagine that evil version of you with the mustache. But instead of asking how they would defeat you in your career, ask yourself this. How would they systematically dismantle your personal relationships and your peace of mind over the next 5 years?
What a question.
And what are you going to do tomorrow morning to make sure they fail? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.